Looking more broadly, sort of how important do you think is the role of metrics in a transformation journey and making it successful?
Ultimately, you see, every transformation journey has to go to CFO for some or the other reason, and probably metrics plays a real big part. And is the metric is where you start and not necessarily where you end, because metrics start with the goal. You start with the goal, and there is some clear definition of the metric really helps. I have found that the leading metrics sometimes are more important than the real metric. Like clear metrics have some commercial goals or some NPS goals. But as you build the metrics, you will realize that for example, speed is probably a great leading indicator of both customer experience and as well as productivity, because if you can satisfy a customer request much faster, if you can get them what they need much faster, if employees can find the information they are looking for much faster, that speed can essentially enable you to have multiple metrics solved for. And that idea of finding the right metric to focus for the transformation is very important. And that's why I guess, and having too many is also difficult. So having a few metrics which you can relate to and you can measure and report is probably a great way to also show the progress of the transformation.
And I think having worked with you, there is a lot of focus on making sure you are measuring through the program, because often, metrics get set, but then the measurement becomes hard. But you're quite focused on that as well.
That's right. It's easy to set a metric, but to keep that metric and see how the trends are going, not only during transformation, but also during operational phase, gives us great insights of what is working or not, because it's a really fast evolving world. And some way, I think, without being data-led, it's very difficult to work in an experiential way always, or figure out through intuition. So the metrics really sort of create your data-driven insight for you to take action.
You do use that feedback loop to then evolve as well. You're managing a lot of change. So how do you go about governing it all?
We have like various governance or various types of transformation. We have a transformation going on in B2B businesses so as to create more velocity in the B2B businesses, as well as look at transforming some of our legacy assets in the B2B. And we have something going on B2C. But the more and more we are thinking about it, the realization is the transformation is not one area of business, because it impacts quite a bit of the common functions. So it's probably a responsibility of the leadership team itself to be the owner and govern the transformation. And there can be sort of, what we are looking at is working groups who develop the thinking, but the overall governance sets with the leadership team. And what it does is it creates the right focus, creates a leadership commitment, brings the translation through to the organization of what it means, because that's a really important part of communicating the transformation in each area's language differently. And that governance for me is not only about are we on track, are we delivering, or is it the value being realized. It's also about helping the transformation to communicate, translate, bring people along, and then change the workforce so as to reap the benefits of the transformation.
And that sort of having the governance at the top level really drives that commitment and focus in the org as well.
Absolutely.
So what makes a transformation successful?
Now, there is probably a study which says that only 30 to 40% of the transformation actually succeed. Like there is a quite vast majority do not. And in fact, among them who do not, like 50% of them do not even finish or complete the transformation. And I have been on this transformation journey for the last probably 20 years. The ability to translate strategy to action is probably the fundamental part which makes it success. This transformation starts with a vision. So you need to have a vision. But the vision to realization is a hard thing to do. How do you deconstruct the problem? How do you sequence it? Then if you sequence it, how do you manage all the changes which needs to happen? and it becomes a very complex beast soon. And you have to find a way of a theme or a plan so that you can at least land part of it and see some dividends coming out of it. And that capability to traverse the levels of level 1 to level at the top is probably the key part of ability to transform. And that mindset of transformation is a journey. It needs to have milestones and needs to have a transition roadmap, because you step through it is probably the key success factor of translating the strategy into action.
Well, thank you, Kallol, for participating in this, and good luck with future transformations as well.
Thank you. It was good to be here.